So obviously Sean McDermott gets fired last week. We're going to have you on. And then we're like, all right, we'll recap all that next week with Greg. Go over the press conference with Terry Pagula and Brandon Bean. I plan on talking about the head coach search with you, but hey, they found him. They didn't have to go far. Joe Brady knew Bill's head coach, Greg.
You go back to, I sent a tweet on the 19th, the day of the firing, and said that, although I'd love if we go with like a Clint Kubiak or something like that, it's very likely that something's already in place in the background with either Joe Brady or a Brian Daboll, Davis Webb combo, and that we'll just find out about it later on. And I love being right more than anybody, but it sucks to go back and see that and be like, yeah, I should have known. I shouldn't have let myself get excited about all these new people. That probably was in place the entire time. And here it is. And that doesn't mean he won't succeed. Like I'll give you one to hold on to. Dan Reeves was the longtime coach of the Broncos, had John Elway through his incredible career, who was a very legit comp to Josh Allen athletically and overall. Couldn't get over the hump. They finally fired him after a lot of success and just internally promoted their offensive coordinator, who happened to be a young and up-and-coming Mike Shanahan. And then they won 2 Super Bowls. So there is a historical correlation where this worked.
What you're trying to say is...
I'll warn you, don't go look at the rest of the list of the internal coordinator promotions. Don't look at that.
I've been
just focus on the one I just told you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as you're breaking that down, Greg, I'm seeing like Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah, don't look at the rest of that list. Pay no attention to that. In fairness,
there's other.
No one on that list had a good quarterback. Not one of them. Like that entire list, not one person on that list had a good quarterback. So, it's impossible to succeed in the NFL without a good quarterback, short of some miracle guy. But yeah, the rest of that list is depressing.
You could say like the Bills have been learning from previous teams' success, even recently with like the Falcons. They had Kyle Shanahan. The Falcons were rolling there in the Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan leaves. The Falcons are complete demise after that. Another one was the Lions. Ben Johnson's looking great with Chicago. Yeah. As soon as he left, Lions took a step back. So maybe the Bills are saying, hey, we got an offensive coordinator that could do work here.
Yeah, keeping Dan Quinn over Kyle Shanahan, if that was in the back of their mind, I think that's a really great comp to make.
Yeah, I'll bet. And then do you think at the same time, it was like, okay, we ran through some of these candidates, we interviewed them, and Joe Brady is still hanging around through this process because he's obviously interviewed with the Raiders, the Ravens, and maybe some other teams that I'm not thinking of right now. And they're just like, he's still here. Like you were saying, they still have that continuity with them. Maybe they seen it as one of those things where, all right, well, he's still here for a reason. Why don't we just give him a shot and hear him out?
So, I think that's where a lot of people's minds are at. That's probably still a touch cynical. And again, I've made a lot of jokes today. I've poked a lot of fun at this situation. Let me try to put on some rose-colored glasses and step back. If we're going to tell ourselves a good story here, Joe Brady's still 36. He's younger than Clint Kubiak. He's had a chance to call plays, which Grant Udinski, Nate Shieldhouse, and Davis Webb have not. He has the track record that we're excited about. If we did a blind resume side by side of, hey, where is your offense finished in EPA and results and all the advanced metrics, and how long have you been calling those plays, or was Sean McVay calling your plays, or was Liam Cohen calling your plays, and things like that, he'd win that blind side by side. And then we also have to be respectful to the fact of maybe he did crush the interview. Maybe he was super charismatic and dynamic and had a great strategy and said, hey, guys, I've been a good soldier for the last 2 years, but I had to run the offense Sean McDermott asked me to run, and that I had to design the scheme around what Sean McDermott wanted me to run. And you guys saw, I noticed where the trending in the NFL was going with bigger personnel and passing out of 12 and 22 and 13 personnel and using jumbo sets and setting up the run to take advantage of smaller defenses, while we kept the defense that I was taking advantage of. We kept small personnel. We kept little linebackers. We kept a little nickel. We kept light defensive tackles. We kept, speed deficient defensive ends. And that's exactly what I designed an offense to take advantage of. So why did we know the trends on this side of the ball, but we were behind the curve on that side of the ball? Let me create a defense, bring in an aggressive young defensive mind. Please, God, be Jim Leonard. I'll be super excited. Let me bring in an aggressive young defensive mind who's going to help us create something that is aligned with what I'm already creating on offense, that we know our offense is working. Sure, there are some things we can do differently. Here's things I would have done, and I'll bring up a quick anecdote in a second. And then that'll let us do it. And I'll give a perfect example of that. If you guys read between the lines on the comments from Joe Brady and Josh Allen after the Jacksonville game, they were asked about that final moment.
Yep.
And the final play, where everybody debated, should we take a knee or should we run the play, blah, blah, blah. Should we run the last 40 seconds off, give them the ball back 24 seconds, or even run a play and take a timeout? Maybe we give it back to them with 16 seconds.
Or how about just tush push for like 20 yards?
All those different things. It was the next play. So the next one after the 11-yard tush push, when we were down at the one, the next play.
Yep.
Where a lot of people immediately, including me in the moment, went to, and again, I hate them with a burning passion. So much I hate them. But Mike Vrabel is the best in-game manager in the league. He's exceptional in those moments. Well, when they had the ball in that exact moment, with Tampa Bay having no more timeouts at the end of the half, when they played them November 9th, they ran a fake tush push, and Drake May just kind of fell down behind the center on purpose to let the clock run, took it down, took the timeout. They still had 2 more timeouts. They had whatever it was, 15 seconds left. And then they did the tush push on the next play and they scored and they won. And they went into halftime. That exact moment, you heard McDermott say, yeah, there was a lot of debate and we weren't really sure. And we know the optimal situation might be there, but we didn't want to risk it. And we weren't sure what was going on. Well, what do you mean you knew the optimal situation, but you didn't want try for the optimal situation? And you heard Josh Allen said a couple funny things about like, well, yeah, there was a lot of debate about that. And I guess in hindsight it works. So, apparently it was the right decision, but it was very like heavy, like on the, apparently it was the right decision. And then you heard Joe Brady talk about of like, well, that was a hotly debated thing and I'm glad it worked out. But yeah, there was a lot of differing opinions on that and kind of left it hands off. It was super clear. Joe Brady and Josh Allen wanted to take a knee, run the optimal situation, trust that, hey, we have 3 plays from the 1-yard line. Of course we're going to score with 3 plays from the 1-yard line.
Like we haven't been through 13 seconds.
Right.
The exact same
Why'd you bring it up?
You have the chance to make the optimal decision. I want a new, young, aggressive decision maker who, listen, if we try for the optimal situation and then fail, I'll live with that because we tried to do the best possible thing. Settling for a lesser decision because it was safer or you weren't sure about the risks of the other thing because sure, somebody could jump off sides or some whatever dumb things could happen. Well, also Jacksonville could gain 35 yards and have their kicker kick the ball 70 yards. Like
easily.
That's a risk
100%.
too. Let's not give them that chance. Like, what are you talking about? That something bad could happen on a kneel down? Sure. Do you think that's more likely than Cam Little hitting a long field goal? Because I don't. Like, that's not more likely. So if we're going to go that route, maybe, and again, there's a story I'm going to tell myself because I want to feel good about this decision because, like it or not, I love this stupid team.
Well, also it is what it is too. Like he's no,
he's there. He's the guy. I promise. And listen. I promise. Come September, we're all going to be rooting for him. Like we might as well get our heads around it at some point here.
Yep.
If we're going to tell ourselves that story, there is a path where he is more aggressive, more current and modern of what's going on in the NFL and ready to do these things. And a piece of that, he's not perfect. There's goofy stuff that he does that I don't like, but there are things where you can tell yourself wide receiver screens work sometimes, there's a story you can tell yourself that he was being held back in some areas by Sean McDermott, and now is going to be the modern, current, aggressive coach that we wanted. And that if you did the blind side by side and you just put resumes out there for Udinsky and Shieldhouse and Webb and Joe Brady, he's also a 30-something, offensive wonderkind who is thought to be this next guy, but he's had a chance to call plays. Those guys, it's easy to tell ourselves what they would do when they get a chance. Some of them might not even be as good as him. We don't know. We're hoping.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Again, I was as deflated as anybody else, but ultimately I'm going to get my head around the fact of we just hired the youngest coach in franchise history. He's a guy that very clearly our quarterback supported, and that we'll hope that he's all the things we want him to be.
And another thing too to add to that, it's like, okay, he out of all the candidates, maybe other than Brian Daboll, you can make the argument like he understands not just the team, he understands the organization, he understands the market, he understands the fans, everything that is a part of this whole situation there. So I really don't, like you were saying, it's deflating because it seemed like they're going to go a different route, but at the end of the day, they're sticking with what they know. And maybe, like you were also hinting at, like that was a good callback by you at the Jaguars pressers. Like I didn't even pick that up. Like, all right, maybe he's going to show us something, man. So, Brother Brent, I'm going to ask you, how do you feel? Because beginning of the show, you're a little grump. You're grumpy.
Super grumpy, honestly.
After Greg laid it out for you, how you feeling after everything he just broke down for you in a positive manner?
I do feel a little better.
Oh, see, all right, Greg, you're making a difference, man. Let's go. That's why you're the best, man.
30-something offensive guru. Like there's a chance.
Always a fresh cut.
Yeah.
This is like
exactly.
Earlier today, I'm driving down the street and I'm looking in the sky and I was like, I think that's the sun. That's what you just did for us there. It's like, I think that was a little ray of sunshine.
Just a little glimpse, just a little peek, a little window.